My name is Coach David, and welcome to Coaching for Life on the Promise Life Coach Network. Good to have you here today. Thought I'd take a quick moment and ask a deep question. Good question, but a deep one. What will people say about you long into the future? When they remember you, when they tell the story of your life, what will they say? Kind of a powerful thought, isn't it? Well, before we go any further, I would suggest you take and do a little quickie exercise. Take a piece of paper, and I want you to write down the top 25 things that run your day, that run your life, that are there all the time, you spend time with. Whether it's things you do, things you think, what you feel, but just write down as reasonably quickly as you can. You don't have to do it right this moment, but do it quickly so it doesn't drift. Do all 25 things or more, and then set that aside. And then when we come back to it later, you'll have a real good foundation for where we're going with this discussion. You see, we don't realize many times that even the history of our past, the voices of our past, affect who we are and how we act, how we behave, how we treat people, how we want to be treated. And as a result of it, sometimes while we're trying to function in life, we build up safety walls, protective zones, almost like barbed wire, and we only let people in certain places because we're really afraid of the pain. My challenge to you is, what do people think of you because you're living that defensive life when you could have the opportunity to have an invested life? Now, what I suggest to you is you want to ask that question, what do people think of you? You know, if they told your story today, would they think of you as warm? Would they think of you as honest and transparent? Would they think of you as listens well or genuine, honest? Would they think of you as someone that they can come to in a time of need and pour their heart out to? If so, congratulations. But for the rest of us, the answer to that is, wow, I guess I got some work to do, don't I? Because we don't really want to be thought poorly of. In my life experience of over 35 years of investing in people, I have been with people and thought how crusty they were, and then been involved in their funeral, and when it came time for the audience to talk about them, that was, yeah, I remember one time when he got drunk. Oh, I remember a time when he stole a car. He was so funny. But they couldn't find a story that they wanted to tell their kids about. They had memories, but they had no really positive values from that life to invest. And I've got to believe that you and I both want someone to love us enough today that they'll tell our story well tomorrow. So it really comes down to what runs our life. Let me quickly tell you a story. There was a little grandma that I met when she was in her 40s. Now she's a grandma. And when I met her, she had a wall up. Oh my goodness. She was like talking to someone out of a cartoon, like Popeye or Brutus from a cartoon. You could talk to her, but you couldn't get near her. It was like walks like a man, talks like a man, dresses like a woman, tough. Now, she had a good heart, and I knew it was in there, and I had met some of her family, and I knew that she meant well, but in getting to know her better, finally one day I said, can I ask you a really powerful question? Okay, go ahead. What do your kids think of you? What will they tell about you to their kids? Have you ever thought about that? She said, yeah, I have, and I don't like it. I avoid those kind of topics because I'm afraid of what they really think. Well, where did you learn to be so defensive, to keep that wall up, to not let people in close? You and I both know you do that. Yeah, I do. How did you learn that? Well, that's my mom. That's how my mom was. Well, didn't she tell you when you were doing good and give you a hug? No. She'd punch you in the arm and say, good job, but that's about all the hugs and cuddles we got. So raising my kids, it wasn't an easy life. And though I didn't punch them in the arm all the time, I didn't cuddle them either. And I know that sometimes they just get angry when I'm with them, and I'm sure that it's partly my fault. But I don't know how to fix it. Well, I sat down with her and asked her some questions over a couple of days, and I made her 25 list. I didn't tell her I was making that list, but I did. And interestingly enough, when one day we sat down over coffee and I turned that list around, and I said, I want you to notice the top things that run your life. And the top 5 things out of her 25 list were the voices of her past, Things like you'll never amount to anything, you're good for nothing. Or coming back from a date, doing nothing wrong, and her father saying, you're a whore. You might as well just put up a prostitute sign. Things like that, along over and over again, built such a voice in her head that she spent the top 5 things out of her whole 25 were fighting the ghosts, the voices, and the history of her past. And almost all those people that she's talking to me about were already dead. She couldn't go to them, she couldn't confront them, she couldn't deal with them. So I suggested to her that maybe what we needed to do is deal with forgiveness. Well, I'm never going to forgive those people. Well, maybe you will if you think about it this way. Every time you think of them and that re-injures you, you put that wall up a little further, and so they have power over your life today. And in that power that they have, you push away your kids, you're distant from your grandkids, you don't have a lot of friends, and you wonder why you're so lonely. What if we turned that around and we worked on forgiving those people so that we can cut that injury that keeps coming back? We stop its power by forgiving them. You've talked to me and told me you love God and you wanted God to work in your life. Well, God tells us to love others like He loves us. He forgives, so we get to. So with the love of God, you forgive. That's what you need to do. She came back later and said, I've been working on that. I said, and how's it work? She said, I'm 6 months into this process, and I've gone to every kid and asked for forgiveness, admitted what was going on, told them my stories, and they all cried with me and said, Mom, we love you. We just didn't know what to do with you, because sometimes you were miserable to be around. Then she went to some of her friends who she hadn't heard from in a long time and asked them to forgive her, and they kept saying, no, there's nothing to forgive, but we don't know who you really are, but we'd like to try. At this point now, when I'm talking to you, she's a senior citizen in a retirement home, happy, has lots of company. Kids and grandkids can't wait to be around her. She's made an impact in her life, and she can't wait to go to heaven one day so they can tell good stories on her too. We don't have to be a prisoner of our past. We don't have to be letting someone else write our epitaph in an ugly and a mean way. We can make sure by how we live today, how we love today, how we forgive today, how we invest today, how our tomorrow will seem. That's what we do here on Coaching for Life on the Promise Life Coach Network. And I invite you to come get involved. Check it out. See if there isn't a way that we can't help you to help yourself to set many goals on that great quest toward you becoming the person and living the life you've always wanted to. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to coaching you. I look forward to you going on the site, looking around, reading some of the material, and eventually joining and becoming part of our Promise Life Coach family. See you there.